Hello everyone and welcome back to Classic Comics. Today I'm reviewing The Expanse, Season 5, Episode 6. Now this review will have spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, you may want to do that first and then come back. We start on the moon with Avasarala, who's looking at footage of New York, which has extensive flooding due to the recent asteroid strike. She's then introduced to David Pastor, the Secretary of Transportation. Pastor is the highest-ranking member of Nancy Gao's cabinet who's still alive, so he's now the acting Secretary General of the UN and the leader of Earth. He admits that he's a political novice and in over his head with the current crisis and offers Christian a position in his cabinet, which she accepts. Then we catch up with Amos and Clarissa, who have made their way to some kind of disaster relief station. But there are police around, and Clarissa is afraid that they'll send her back to prison if they find out who she is. Amos suggests that they go back to Baltimore since he knows people there, but they'll need to take a long way around through the wilderness to avoid police. Now, this scene bugs me a little. Yes, okay, Clarissa doesn't want to be around police, but they head out without making any attempt to get supplies like water or food or anything from the relief station. Couldn't Clarissa have just hung back in the woods while Amos tries to get some food or something? They just turn and walk into the woods in the middle of the bitter cold, even though there's help available right there, which seems kind of contrived to me, but oh well. Now on Tycho Station, the Rossi's getting ready to depart when Monica shows up and wants to come along. Bull is opposed to the idea and wants to throw her off the ship, but Monica argues that she was the one who told them about someone in the belt coming for the proto-molecule, and the only reason they have a shot at getting it back is because of her. Monica's quite a smug little you-know-what in this scene, acting like they owe her something after recent events. If I were holding her bull, I would have pointed out that she would have suffocated to death in that cargo container and wouldn't even be here if it weren't for them. We then go to Alex and Bobby, who are adrift in the Firehawk after being attacked last episode. The Belters who attacked them try to board the ship, but they find Bobby waiting for them in a suit of power armor. Now, while she's dealing with them, Alex floats over to their ship and plants several explosives around their engine. After Bobby has killed several of them, the Belters flee back to their ship, but she prevents them from leaving by using the power armor to hold their ship in place, giving Alex time to plant the explosives. Alex then floats back to the Firehawk, and they fly away as they activate the explosives and blow up the Belter ship. Now, I'm a little confused here, because last episode they jettisoned their drive core as a way of avoiding getting hit by a missile. So how is the ship's Epstein drive still working? Maybe it has a backup power source or something? I don't know. We then go to Marco, and he isn't happy that the Rossi avoided destruction last episode. It was supposed to blow up and take Tycho Station with it, and he's pissed that didn't happen. Sign accepts the blame for Naomi warning Holden, and Marco points out that she wasn't even supposed to be on their ship in the first place, and Philip admits that he's at fault for that, and then Marco tells Sign to space Naomi. Philip asks Marco to spare her, and Marco doesn't say that he will, he just says that he has better things to do. We then go back to Amos and Clarissa as they make their way through the wilderness preserve. They encounter the corpse of a dead man, and he doesn't have any clear signs of trauma or obvious wounds, so it's not clear how he died. But he has a coat and some boots, which he gives to Clarissa since she's still wearing her prison uniform. There's also a backpack with a trail bar in it, which he gives Clarissa to eat. Then, not far from the body, they meet a guy alone in the woods. He has a fire and offers to share it with them. Amos asks if he's heard anything about Baltimore, and the guy tells him that most of the East Coast is flooded and most of the major cities are in chaos. He then asks if Clarissa is feeling well as she's coughing. Now, earlier in the episode, she mentions that the chemical blockers that prevent her from using her cybernetic implants are wearing off, and they're causing painful muscle cramps. She doesn't tell the guy that, of course. Then he offers them a drink from his flask, saying it can take the edge off the cold, suggesting that it has alcohol in it. Amos declines and says they need to get moving. The guy then tells them to head south for a ways before turning east, as there's a survivalist who has some land that's fenced off and will shoot people if they come onto his land. Now, this scene is interesting. When they first come to the guy's camp, he looks at Clarissa and says, "Nice coat." And Amos gives him this look. Remember, this is the coat they took off the dead guy they found earlier. Then, when he asks if Clarissa is all right, this ominous music starts to play. Clearly, we're supposed to infer that this guy is a threat to them. Now, the dead body they found didn't have any injuries, so was he poisoned by that other guy, maybe? It's when he offers the flask that the ominous music starts playing. So was that how he killed the other guy, offering him a drink and poisoning him instead? But if that's the case, then why didn't he just take the guy's backpack with the food in it? That would seem to be the thing to do when you're in the wilderness with no food around. So is he really a killer? Maybe, but I think the purpose of this episode is to foreshadow what's to come later in the episode. As Amos observes, I grew up like this, everyone else is just playing catch-up. We then go to Drummer and her ships. They rendezvous with Marco's Free Navy and realize he has several Martian warships. Joseph and Oksana accompany Drummer over to Marco's ship. They're escorted by 2 guards, and Drummer observes that one is a member of the Black Sky clan and the other is a member of the Golden Bow clan. Oksana notes that if Marco has the support of both Black Sky and the Golden Bow factions, then over half the OPA is already on his side. They meet with Marco, and despite the situation, Drummer wastes no time taking Marco to task for starting a war and killing Ashford. Her crewmen point out that Earth is the only source for soil that can be used to grow crops, and if Earth cuts them off, Belters will starve to death. Marco assures them that although there will be some lean years within a decade, they should be able to equal or even surpass Earth's agricultural output, and offers Drummer his protection and a place in his navy. Drummer counters that they wouldn't need protection if it weren't for him, and that his actions have committed the entire belt to a war and made peace impossible. He tells Drummer to think about it, and they return to their ship. Amos and Clarissa arrive at the homestead of that survivalist they were told about. He has a metal fence around his property with signs warning people to stay away, and they find fresh blood on the ground by the fence. Now, Clarissa has another episode of muscle cramps, and Amos tells her to stay hidden and to run if things go badly. Amos goes to the guy's front gate and calls out, but there's no answer. He climbs over the gate into the guy's yard, and the survivalist comes out with a rifle. Amos says he has a water recycler. He doesn't really, that's a lie, and wants to work out a trade for a rifle so that he can hunt some game for food. The guy tells Amos to strip to prove he doesn't have any weapons on him, which he does. Then the survivalist points out that if Amos has a recycler, he doesn't really need Amos, just the recycler, and is about to shoot him when Clarissa attacks him and blows his head off in the blink of an eye. Drummer and her crew discuss Marco's offer, and they argue over whether they should join with him or not. Then one of her crew cuts right to the point and says that they have to join with Marco, that while Marco claims they have a choice, they really don't. So Drummer agrees to join with Marco, and one of her crew stays on Marco's ship, while Corral, one of Marco's lieutenants, stays on Drummer's ship. Then Marco introduces her to Philip and tells him that Naomi and Drummer served together on the Behemoth. Philip says that he'd like to hear more about that, but Marco says it'll have to wait for another time. Then Philip goes to Naomi's cell and asks her to tell him about her time on the Behemoth and about the opening of the ring gates. We then go back to Amos and Clarissa. Clarissa asks why they came to this place, and Amos says that they needed supplies and this guy had them, and that's all there is to it. Clarissa notes that they went out of their way to find this guy and murder him so that they could take his stuff, and that's not something that good people would do, or even something bad people trying to pretend to be good people would do. Amos realizes she's right and that Holden wouldn't approve of what he's done. So this was an episode with a good deal of dramatic tension in it. Multiple scenes where you feel that violence could break out at any moment, and it's all done pretty well. I thought that Drummer would help Naomi escape, but that didn't happen, so I was wrong on that one. The only real criticism I have is that Amos could have gotten some help from the release station they're at early in the episode, but they don't even try, and it just seems like that was done to make their situation more desperate later in the episode in order to justify them killing the survivalist. He was going to kill Amos, but Clarissa points out what if he hadn't tried that, implying that they probably would have wound up killing him anyway. Now, it's well established that Amos is pretty much a sociopath. He'll kill people with little provocation, and he doesn't seem to feel guilt about much of anything. He's a good guy to have around, or a handy guy to have around in a fight or in a survival situation, but he's not a good guy, quote unquote. Anyway, let me know what you thought in the comments. Did that guy in the woods kill that other man? Was he going to poison Amos and Clarissa if they drank from that flask? Also, if you enjoyed this review, please hit the like button before you go. Also, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.